wanted chickens since I was in first grade. And we lived in Tennessee. Mom and Dad would let me have them because Mom didn't have to take care of them. So junior high school came along. High school, we finally moved to a place where I could have them easily, but I still couldn't get them. So meanwhile, I graduated high school. I got married, started having kids. My husband and I bought some acreage, and I'm like, chickens. So I started with chickens. I started with just mixed breeds, just some that somebody had they wanted to give away, and it didn't take long. I fell in love, and I was hatching chicks more than I needed, so I started doing trade day. I'm taking my chicks up to trade day and selling them, and I met a man up there that had the most beautiful golden colored birds I'd ever seen, Buff Orpingtons. I fell in love with them. So I got some chicks from him and raised them up. And of all the breeds I've ever raised or seen, they are by far my favorite breed of chicken. And I still have buffs today. I have
from
raised,
that first group?
Huh?
From that first group?
Not from that first group, because I ended up having, to sell them. The ones I have now actually come from show stock. They are huge. But I do several other breeds right now. I'll tell y'all in a little bit what they are. But anyway, I finally got it at my dream, and it's exploded. I now have an incubator that one incubator alone will hold 1,056 eggs. And during the spring and summer, it stays full. I just turned it off. But I still have one that'll hold 300 eggs. It's still going. But anyway, so I'm finally living my dream. And it doesn't quite pay for itself. I don't know. I never have really put, but it always seems nice trade day weekend when I come home with some money in my pocket. So anyway, I had some topics that y'all, I don't know how many of you have ever had chickens before? Most everybody, y'all know all this then. The first thing I was going to talk about was their housing. Make sure you have a very secure place to put them. I recommend hardware cloth, not chicken wire, because dogs, raccoons, anything can chew through chicken wire. Hardware cloth, snakes can't even get through hardware cloth if you've got it in right. Make sure for the winter time it's draft free. They need ventilation, but it needs to be, like the wind blocked. They don't necessarily, depends on your breed, do not need heat. If you've got good bedding down, and you've got the wind block with a little bit of ventilation, they should be fine. You might, though, if it gets down in the teens, the males' combs tend to frostbite. You might want to slather them with Vaseline, their combs and their wattles, so they won't frostbite. Other than that, make sure they've got a run, exercise area. The exercise area or run, I recommend covering it because hawks can pick one up in a heartbeat and you'll never know what happened to it. I've had hawks carry off a full-grown guinea, a full-grown Buff Orpington. So it's not just the little birds I go after. Plus, raccoons can climb in, any other kind of animal can jump pretty big in. So, y'all have any other questions on housing or anything like that?
What was that cloth?
The cloth?
The cloth.
Shade cloth?
No,
Hardware cloth. Hardware cloth. It's little bitty square. Little bitty squares.
Comes in a roll. Is it metal?
Huh?
Yeah,
What is it? Metal.
It's
Metal. I don't know why they cloth, but it's metal. You can get just about any hardware store and try this
You get it at Lowe's over there with the fencing, and it's in rolls, and you can get different heights and stuff. And
It's
it
about a
comes in-
half-inch square.
It's like a rectangle. It's not real long, but they can't get it.
Yeah, but unless it's a tiny, tiny snake, they can't get through. And a tiny snake's not going to do much damage. So
How high is a fence around you have?
that depends. I have had them to where they weren't but so high, and I had to climb in if I need to go in, and that kills your back. I would say 6 foot at least, where you can go in and walk.
For like the run area?
Around, it depends on how many chickens you have. It's how big. You don't want them to be too crowded. A 10 by 12, you could probably 10 chickens, 10, 12 chickens, something like that, comfortably. You want to have a roost in there where they can roost at night. Make sure you use a flat board. If you use a round one and it gets cold, they're not sitting on their feet to keep their feet warm, and their toes will frostbite. So make sure you've got like a 2x4 with the wide side up where they can roost on it to keep their feet warm.
What do you do with all your bruises?
Do I know?
What did you do with all your roosters when you incubate your eggs?
What do I do with them?
Yeah.
The chicks? Huh? No.
The rooster. Yeah, when you said you incubated
The
your
roosters?
eggs, you must get a lot of roosters out of it.
I take them trade day and sell them.
I'll do.
Unless it's an exceptional rooster, they bring maybe $25.
Oh, really?
Well, my buffs, they're big. But other than that, if it's just maybe $5, somebody wants to make chicken soup or chicken and dumplings. I try not to get attached to my birds, so.
I wondered about the nesting boxes, one can have.
The dusting boxes?
The nesting
Nesting.
boxes.
Nesting
So
boxes?
how many, birds can use one box, and how close, one of the questions we've had in building our chicken coop is, does it matter where the roost bar is, can it be over the boxes?
I would put it over the boxes, you're gonna end up with nest boxes full of food.
Right, okay.
Somewhere in the coop, and it depends on how many chickens you're supposed to usually have a foot per garden,
Okay.
so that they're not all crunched up. But yeah, not over the nesting boxes, you'll end up with, and depends on what kind of nesting boxes. If you make a homemade one, make sure the top of it is slanted, because if you make one flat, they're gonna roost on top of that,
Oh, right.
and it's gonna be nasty.
Did two hens use one box?
Yes, I have, what have I got, a six hole in with my buffs. They all tend to use two. So, right now I've got two broody though. One of them actually I have 5 broody. 2 of them are the only 2 I'm letting sit on eggs right now because they've raised before and I know they're good mamas. The others, I've tried and they weren't good mamas, so they keep getting chunked out of the nest box. So,
So if we have a dozen birds, we could have 3 boxes?
do what now?
If we have a dozen birds, we could have 3 boxes? Is that enough?
3, I was gonna say, yeah, you might get away with that. Might. I was gonna say 4, 3, 4, something like that.
I had 3 boxes, but I have 8 chicks, they only use one box.
Right.
One box, yeah, they tend to,
Is that okay?
yeah, they tend to
And
do
they
that, I
gotta
don't
wait.
know why.
They gotta wait.
The only reason why I want my 6 hole and the 5 broodies, one of them is on the ground in the corner, and that's where she chose, and I'm like, okay, you stay there. The others are in the 6 hole nest box. One of them's empty, and the others are 4 sitting up there, and they keep getting under the ones that are setting, that has all the eggs under, and laying their eggs under there. The boxes they're sitting in, there's no eggs, they're just sitting on nothing. So, anyway, where was I? Anything else?
What do you recommend for keeping the coop cool in the
Do what now?
summer? To keep the coop cooler in the summer?
I use misters and fans. I have 2 fans that have a mister attached to the front of them, and I set it on a timer where it's not going all day long, so I don't come into a big old puddle mess. It just kind of, and fans definitely win circulation. Certain breeds are better, will take the heat better than others too. So some of them can't tolerate the heat. So. Anyway, who else?
So in your chicken runs, what do you recommend? Because after a while, like they eat all the vegetation and all the things. What do you put in there to help keep from?
Do what now?
In your chicken run, ours is covered. What do you recommend after they have kind of eaten all the vegetation, like so that you can keep from getting bumblefoot?
You can do sand. You can do wood shavings. I've got a friend that used to raise and show silkies, and she used what they call the deep litter method. It's got about a foot of wood shavings in it, and as it gets dirty, she'll go turn it with a pitchfork, and if she has to, add a little bit. And then once a year, it used to be my job. I'd go help her. We'd shovel it all the way down to the dirt and clean it, and spray it, and start all over again. It made a fantastic fertilizer for their garden. I've never seen a better garden than theirs was.
So when you say shavings, you're into like the shavings you buy at Tractor Supply?
Yes, pine shavings. Do not use cedar shavings with chickens. Cedar oil is poisonous. Use pine shavings. Some people use the pellets, the pine pellets. I've never tried them. Just no cedar.
We use the pellets.
Do I know?
We use the pine pellets.
Do you?
When
And
they
as
get
they,
wet, they
Yeah, expands.
So
It's
then
like
you have
sawdust.
which doesn't. I mean, it's not terrible, but.
all right. Any other questions?
Did you say 10 to 12 feet for the runs?
You'll have to bear with me.
Sorry.
I'm hard of hearing, I wear hearing aids, but only one of them's working, so I'm.
I'm sorry. Did you say 10 to 12 feet for the run? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
if they have access to a run, they don't need as big a coop. Because most times the weather's pretty, they're gonna be out in the run and just go back in the coop to lay and to roost at night. So if they've got, just give them a pretty good area to run around in.
What do you feed them? What do you use to feed, like the layina, or would you recommend an organic?
But the feed, it all depends on what you prefer. I have always fed Purina, Layina, Crumbles.
That's what I've been using.
I've tried others. I've had friends to try others, and I won't go back to any. I'm staying with Purina.
I just noticed with the plant-based ones, it brings all the seeds.
I have had several friends. One tried raising turkeys on an off-brand feed for turkeys, and she called me and she said, I'm having trouble. They can't walk. They're acting funny. And I went and I ended up having to put 3 of the 4 of them down. They were so vitamin deficient. Their legs were actually bowing. The bones were bowing. And I
So
had to
you
put them-
think the layina's fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it depends on, like I also do, I've got the buff Orpingtons. I do chocolate cuckoo Orpingtons. I'm starting salmon favor reels. I'm starting light Brahmas. I have Saramas. I don't know if you know what a Sarama is. It's the smallest breed of chicken in the world. And they're the ones I show. And I've got guineas and I've got quail. So there's about 4 different kinds of feeds that I'm buying, but all of them are Purina. It's the game bird starter, a game bird layer, chick starter.
Okay.
Yeah. But stay with them. If you want to go, I think Purina makes an organic.
They do, but it got so expensive I quit.
Even the regular one's expensive.
So you do crumbles,
Yeah.
layer, and
You what now?
you do crumbles, layer.
I do crumbles. I've tried pellets like for my bigger birds, but it just didn't seem to be. I was having to buy the pellets for the big birds and the crumble for the little birds, and I just decided
So crumbles is fine.
crumbles is fine. It's the same thing. The pellet is just the compact pellet form before they grind it up to the crumbles. It's the same thing.
They like the crumbles.
Yeah.
What about scratch?
Scratch is a treat. It is like giving candy to your kids. There is very little nutritional value in scratch.
It's all right just to throw it as a.
Do what?
It's okay just to throw it out every morning.
Don't-
Just as a treat.
Yeah, don't give them a lot, and especially during hot weather,
Oh, the corn.
because the corn, when their body digests the corn, it generates heat, and they get hot. So no scratch or corn during hot weather. Now during the winter, I mean, you might give them just a little tad, but not very much at all. During the winter, it's really good to give them some before they go to roost at night, because their bodies will generate heat to keep them warm during the winter. So
What about the bird seed?
the what?
The black oil sunflower
Black oil,
seeds? They
yeah.
like mine do.
They're very good.
They're okay.
Very good. Just any kind of treat, don't go overboard with it. A treat doesn't need to be more than 10% of their total intake, because if you do, it can cause all kinds of fatty liver disease, all kinds of stuff like that. They won't want to eat their regular feed, which has got more nutrition in it. It'll actually keep them from laying very regular, so it can do a lot of things.
What about eating bugs? So
Eating
like we were
bugs?
overwhelmed with grasshoppers this
You need
year.
guineas.
Who's gonna eat all the grasshoppers then? Well, I mean, do they?
They can, they
If I let
can.
them out in the garden, are they?
They will eat them, they will eat them. Guineas are the best for grasshoppers,
Really?
though. I mean, the place that I've got my chickens right now, how long have I had them there? It's a friend's place. She's got a big 4-stall horse barn she let me move them to. And I have never seen so many grasshoppers in all my
It was
life.
so bad this year.
I mean, every T-post, every strand of wire, one whole side of the telephone pole, the barn doors, they were solid. You couldn't see what color the
I
T-posts
lost
were
most of
or
my
anything.
gardens to them this year.
And I said, oh, we've got to get some guineas. I'd had them before, but sold them before I moved. We got more, raised them up. The next year, they made a little bit of a dent in it. The next year, when grasshopper season came, there weren't near as many grasshoppers. The next year, less and less. So, I mean, they do make a big difference. They'll also let you know, they're called what, the watchdog of the poultry world. They get used to the normal routine of your place The car's coming and going, and if there's anything out of the ordinary, you're gonna hear about it. Yeah, strange car drives in, you don't have to worry about the dog getting installation. Now, people say they will kill and eat small snakes, but if it's very big, they're just gonna alert and let you know. I've seen pictures on the internet of them circling a big snake, they might do that and let you know. I had them do that to me with a skunk. Oh, they weren't coming in one evening and I kept hearing them out back and went back there. They had circled a skunk. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to come in tonight. But they didn't get sprayed, thank goodness. Anyhow, any other questions for me?
I think I have two.
Okay.
Okay, eggshells, you can crush those up and give to them?
You
For
can.
a supplement of
Calcium, you can. You can either do that or feed oyster shell. Just put a bowl, free choice, oyster shell out. Most of the time you don't have to worry about the roosters eating it. As the hens will need it, know if they need it. I do save my eggshells for when the chicks hatch, and I'll take them home and I'll put them in the oven at 200 degrees for about 30 minutes or so. Let them cool, grind them up, mix them in the feed, and feed them back to the chickens.
They just grind better?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and I had another question. Okay, when they're in their coop, in their run, in their house coop, and then in the morning laying, what is the time period to let them out?
To let them out?
Because I want them to lay first.
Yeah,
But I don't
once
want to
they,
let them out too early. Is there a certain time period?
with guineas there more is. With chickens, I've got them at laying then into the afternoon.
Yeah.
After you've got them used to your place and they're used to laying there, chances are if you let them out, when they need to lay, they're gonna go back in. They'll go back to the nest box and lay and go back out.
Okay.
After they've gotten into their laying routine. Now, if you were to turn them out before they're old enough to start laying and they just start laying, it would be too good.
Yeah.
How long does it typically take for them to get used to your place?
If they're raised up there, not really very long. I mean, especially with the chicken. Yeah, maybe months, something like that. Now, guineas is longer. We can talk about that a little bit if y'all want to. Yeah, they're a whole other story.
Yeah, you want to hear about the guineas, because I have a lot of grasshoppers.
Yeah.
I thought the chickens ate the grasshoppers too.
Yeah, you can raise guineas and chickens together.
Yeah.
I mean, from little. My daughter had a hen one time that was broody, and she didn't have a rooster, so no fertile eggs. So I took her some guinea eggs, is what I had at the time, and that chicken hatched out guineas, little guinea keats, and they were running around the yard. And I don't know if y'all know the difference between a chicken's hunting and scratching and a guinea. Guineas don't scratch; they're looking for bugs. You know, these little guineas were scratching all over the chicken. And I'm like, it was cute, but anyway, they have bobcats, and bobcats ended up picking them off. So, yeah. But anyway, any other questions?
Can you give them food scraps, you know?
Yes, you can. I don't have a list. There are some that are poisonous, like raw potatoes, raw potatoes, avocado, onions. Uh-oh, you killed them already?
I found I just don't eat that.
Yeah, Google it, look it up. There are things that you do not want to give chickens.
They love kale and collard greens.
Yeah.
And if I don't put it out in the morning, they're not happy.
Broccoli.
So.
Right now, one of my pens, there's a thing on Facebook among the chicken groups, people putting jack-o'-lanterns in their chicken coop. And just kind of scratching a face on it, and then wait and see what the chickens do. And I did it in my buff pan, and I've now got big holes where the stuff was scratched. And they love pumpkin. It is not a wormer though. That's a rumor. It is not a natural wormer. So, anything else?
Do you do any rotational grazing?
Do I do what?
Do you do any rotational grazing with your chickens? Out on grasses or anything?
I haven't yet. I'm fixing to. I've got 3 more runs that I'm fixing to do. And once I get that and get separated a little bit better, I'll be able to let like one of them out, just let them free range one day and come back. But yeah. Oh, yeah, they love when we mow the grass or weed eat, rake up some loose grass and throw it in there, and they love it. It makes really for a dark yolk in the eggs. Yeah, the chlorophyll. All right, anything else?
What do you recommend in like, in your medicine cabinet for your chickens, or to have on hand for things?
Oh gosh, the list is so long. Try and keep them healthy. The first thing I would say, especially if you start out with chicks, is Corid. It's for coccidiosis, which is a parasite. If you have a chicken that is, feathers are all fluffed up and they're just kind of droopy, or if you see blood in their poop, you need to get them on Corid. It's a natural parasite they have in their systems, but during times of stress and bad sanitation and stuff like that, it can take over.
What's it called again?
Huh?
What was it called again?
Coccidiosis. The medicine is Corid, C-O-R-I-D. And it comes in a liquid or a powder form.
You can get a pre-treated,
A what?
you can get the pre-treated animal, the chicken food.
It's not got enough in it.
Doesn't have enough.
It's not got enough in it. It's just kind of a little bit, but it's not got enough in it if they actually come down with it to treat it. So, anything else?
I found the electrolytes in the summer, adding into the water, sort of help them get through the heat a little bit.
Yes, it will.
easier.
Yes, it will. A lot of people say apple cider vinegar. Do not do it in hot weather.
Oh, I didn't even know
No,
that.
it can actually deplete things from them that they're needing, so don't do it in hot weather.
I just put the teaspoon of the electrolytes in. You have to change it every 12 hours, I think that's all. Every day.
It's really best
Every
to
day.
give your birds fresh water every day.
Yeah.
And keep their feeders and waters clean. That's the best way to have healthy birds. Because even if you can look at one, the water may look clear,
Oh, yeah,
but if you feel the inside of it
It's slimy.
is slime, it's starting to get slimy. So keep your feeders and waters clean.
I just use bleach because it's the only thing I've found that'll really look at them.
Yeah, mine, I have extra feeders and water, so when I take feeders and waters down, I have 55-gallon barrels outside, soapy bleach water,
Yeah.
dump them in there, put fresh ones back up, and then when I have time, I go out there and scrub and rinse. And hopefully they're done and dry by the time I need to change them again, so.
I found that bleach is the only thing that gets rid of that scum.
But as far as you call it, medicine's Corid, Vetericin, however you want it, it's a wound spray. You can even use that on yourself. I don't know if y'all, I got severely attacked by a cockerel last weekend at Dray Day. That looks fantastic compared to what it was, but I sprayed it with Vetericin. What else have I got? Thailand 50, LA 200, Denigard, BetRx, Terramycin eye ointment, a regular antibiotic ointment like for people, but not with the painkiller in it. Painkiller is poisonous to them. What else? It doesn't hurt to keep things like peroxide, alcohol, Q-tips, cotton pads, different kind of stuff like that around for wounds. So, anything else? No? No more questions? Well, what's the purpose of y'all wanting birds? Y'all wanting pet? Y'all want for meat? For eggs? For eggs?
Eggs are gone up.
Yeah.
Eggs is it.
People keep asking me why I don't sell my eggs, and I'm like, you know what? I can make about $50 a dozen for my eggs by selling them as chicks. I'm not going to sell them hard. So, anyway, sometimes when I slack off laying, I will give some to neighbors and stuff. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh, the breeds.
Yeah.
There are lots of breeds of chickens. They all have different purposes. They all have different personalities. They all have heat and cold tolerances. It's just personalities. Google the chicken breeds. I tried to find, I have a list somewhere of all the breeds and their weights, how many eggs they lay, what color their eggs are, their personality, their, what kind of weather conditions they can take, and I couldn't find it. So, best thing to tell you is Google it, and there are some breeds of birds that they may lay real good, like a white leghorn or a sex link or something like that. Leghorns are flighty. I mean, they're real spooky birds. You can't just walk in with them. They're just kind of, you know. The sex lengths are crossed and bred to lay a lot of eggs. There's only one thing. Chickens are born with only so many egg follicles, and when they're gone, that's it. So if they're laying a whole lot of eggs right at first, they're not going to live very long. I mean, they may live, but they're not going to lay. I mean, maybe 2 years max. So go with a breed that has a maybe not as great at egg laying, but more regular. And
What's regular?
huh?
What's regular? Every day?
A chicken can lay an egg actually every 26 hours. So, and they're going to skip every now and then, but during the right season and the right conditions, you'll get an egg just about every day. So, except when they go brooding. When they go brooding, they stop. And you have to wait several weeks before them to start back up.
So we just see like the Buff Orpingtons and the Barn Rocks, and I got a couple of Australops.
You want to know?
The Buff Orpingtons, would you say they're the hardest breed, or the Australops?
I like them because they are a very gentle, docile bird. They make good mamas. They lay good. They take the heat and the cold real well. They're just kind of a good general.
Which one's that?
A Buff Orpington.
The yellow ones.
They're really pretty golden color. And like I said, mine came from, I got a rooster that came from a man in Missouri that shows only Buff Orpingtons. No exaggeration, this rooster stood up to here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was huge, and I lost him to the heat this summer.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to find another one. I'm trying to get in touch with him, and there's a big national show in Ohio, and I've got a friend going up there, so I'm trying to get a chicken train going to get me another rooster back.
So is that what you sell at trade days?
What now?
Is this what you sell at trade days?
Yes, Buff Orpingtons, chocolate cuckoo Orpingtons. Next spring I'll have Santa Fe Royals like Brahmas. During Guinea's laying season, I have guinea pigs.
Now, is this trade days and Bowie?
Is what?
Trade days and
Trade days at Bowie, yes.
Okay.
Do you have to have a special license to sell birds like that?
What now?
Do you have to have a license to go to an event like that? and sell
Yes, yes you do. That is, by state law, you have to be Pylorium typhoid tested. I am a certified PT tester. At the moment, I'm out of antigen, so I can't test. I've got to order some. But anyway, you have to be PT tested. Then you have to be inspected by the Texas Animal Health Commission. And basically, all that is, you send in your paperwork, and it goes by how many birds you have. They come out and basically just count how many birds you have to verify it, and they send you the paperwork. And then Bowie Trade Day requires you to have a tax number to rent a lot, but you have to have the PT and the animal health thing to be able to sell.
When are the guineas available?
Guineas start laying the end of March to the 1st of April, and they have about quit laying. It's usually sometime in October when they quit laying. I sold month before last, I had 55 adults. I sold all of them at trade day months before last, and I've kept the last 2 batches of keeps. I'm going to raise through the winter and pick the ones I want to keep for my breeding flock next year. And so come spring, and there's about 250 of them, I think, so I'll have extra guineas come spring. So, because I'm not keeping them all, there's no way. 55 was a handful, but I was keeping the incubator full. That big incubator, it stayed full. As soon as one tray came out to hatch, another tray went in, and it was just, but.
So I've never had a chicken in my life. So starting out completely new, would you recommend starting from chicks or starting from an adult?
I would say chicks.
That's kind of what I was thinking, like, we kind of get to know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Start out with
Get
chicks,
used to it.
and for chicks, you want to start out with what's called a brooder, and you can make them out of all different kinds of stuff. A big Rubbermaid tote. You
I
can
use a
put,
dog kennel.
Yeah, that's what I used
Enclosed,
to.
enclosed dog
Dog
kennel.
kennels.
oh yeah, enclosed
Big
all
one.
Yeah. I put puppy pads down, and after they're about a week old, you can maybe switch to some shavings and food and water. And I don't use heat lamps. I use light bulbs. Heat bulbs,
Yeah.
get too dangerous. I use light bulbs.
Okay.
I get them at Walmart. Make sure you get not an LED, It's a halogen light. It puts off heat. And depends on how much heat I need, is whether I get a 40, a 60, 75, or a 100-watt bulb. And put it in a bracket and mount it, but then watch your chicks. If they're all huddled together and chirping, they're cold. If they're scattered out, they're too hot. So you need to, and always like have the light on one end where they can go to get more if they need to. But they can get away from the heat if they need to. Another trick I've learned is in the water dish, put marbles. Yeah, oh, I thought I was crazy too. They are attracted to the color, but when little bitty ones go to drink, they'll kind of follow each other, and the first one there is going to get plowed over and can get drowned. So if you've got marbles in there, and I thought I was safe yesterday with it's supposed to be a drown proof. It's a little quail water that has just a narrow little trough where they can drink. I had 10 baby quail drowned in it, and I'm like shaking my head trying to figure out how they managed to do that. I don't know. I've never had to do that before. But anyway, start out with a good chick starter. Medicate. I use medicated. Some people don't. I like to stay with medicated. Keep them clean and warm and fed and watered.
You'll be changing water a lot.
Do what?
You'll change water a lot.
Yes, when they're little bitty, a lot, because they're going to poop in it and kick shavings in it.
So the Orpingtons are the ones that I think I would like because they sound like they're nicer.
Yeah.
What kind of timing then? Like when are their chicks then? Or is it
It all depends. You can order from hatcheries most all year long. Me, since I don't have my buff rooster right now, what I've done is I had 2 chocolate cuckoo cockerels. I put them in with my buff hens. So their chicks are coming out. They're full Orpington. They're just mixed colors, and I'm getting every color under the rainbow. I never dreamed I would get so many colors from them. It's been kind of wild. So until I get another buff rooster, that's all I'm going to have. So they'll be good layers. They'll be gentle birds like the buffs and stuff. They're just all colors.
We got our chicks in the summer.
But some of the better breeds, if you're wanting a good, is the Buff Orpington, Rhode Island Red, Barred Brock, a Cochin. A Cochin's very gentle bird. What else am I thinking? I do not like production reds. The way they were crossed and bred, they tend to be very cannibalistic.
What about the Wyandottes? The Wyandottes. I got
The Wyandottes, yes, the Wyandottes are. I used to have some beautiful blue lace-haired Wyandottes.
Yes,
and I'm
that's the ones I got.
kicking myself because I sold
2
them.
little Polish ones with their little.
Yeah.
They're pretty useless. But
Yeah, some of them have, breeds have single cones, some of them have Waltland
I don't
cones, some
think
of them
they
have
can
rose
see very
cones.
well. I don't think they see very well, do you?
Which ones?
The little Polish, they don't seem to see
Oh, the
very well.
Polish and the Silkies, no. The Silkies especially, my friend she just sold her last 2. She had been showing it for about 20 years, I guess, and she just sold her last 2 last weekend at Trade Day. I've seen Silkies at a show that there's no way they could see. There's no way the judge has to pick them up and look to see if he can see where their eyes are.
I feel a bit sorry for them, but
You have to be very protective of the Silkies too, because they can't see predators and different things. And so they're not the best egg layers either. They're more of a food chicken. Yeah. They're more, and Polish too. Polish are not really the best egg layers either. They're just, it's just what you want. If you want some pretty yard art, or if you want eggs or meat.
Well, and they're not very good. They seem to have trouble flying up to perch.
Yeah.
So I have to go in and pick her up.
What, the Silkies?
No, the Polish.
Polish? Oh.
Yeah. So.
Some breeds don't like the Silkies. They don't roost. They're
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they didn't want to go up there.
Don't do that. They don't have, Silkies don't have enough hard feathers in their wings to be able to get any lift. So they don't, they might jump, but
they don't want to go up.
Yeah, but they can't fly. Anything?
If you, when your chickens quit laying eggs, do you just, slaughter them and turn them into chicken meat? Or?
Depends. If they have just stopped because they're molting, just wait. If they're getting old age, yeah, slaughter them.
Okay.
If they're healthy, put them in the freezer, make chicken soup, chicken dumplings. If they're not, I would just call them.
If they're all getting older, have you noticed the shell getting kind of thinner or like more watery? Like you
Yeah.
can almost press it and it's.
They do, or if they don't
because
have
they're
enough
old?
calcium, if they're not getting enough calcium, their shells will be thin, or even
It's
soft
like-
shelled, or even
Touch it, like
shellless.
watery, like it's quite watery.
The
inside.
watery?
Yeah, like inside. Somebody said, oh, they must be old. I'm like, I don't know.
How old are they?
I don't know, because I took them from my friend who had died, so they could be
They
5 years
can,
old.
because as they get older, I just had a little cerama hen when she's only this big.
Yeah.
She started laying what we call fart eggs. They're just little, just a tiny egg, and there's no yolk in them.
Oh.
It's all white.
Oh.
And that's their reproductive system shutting
Shutting
down.
down.
Now, sometimes a young pullet will do that when she first starts laying.
Yeah.
Then it should improve, but if it doesn't and it keeps on, then her body's shutting down. So.
Probably okay.
Anything else?
So
No?
if you're
What
gonna
else
let
do I
them
have on
free
here?
range,
I think we just about covered just about
You have a
everything I had
question
on
back
there.
there. You have a question back there.
if we're gonna let them free range,
Hang on.
yeah. Sorry. If we're gonna let them free range, I'm terrified they're not gonna come back. I haven't let them go yet. They've gotta run, but,
How long, have you had them for a while?
well, I got some from you. I've probably only got a month,
About a month?
yeah.
Might wait a little bit longer.
Okay.
And what I would do is wait until close to evening, and when you can be out there with them and let maybe just a few of them out, and as it starts getting dusk and they start wanting to go back in, and just and that's what I did at the beginning.
Kind of been letting them during the day,
Free range.
and they don't seem to go too far. So we haven't let them where they can work on their own. Still hear that.
And the bobcats.
Water.
Like when it starts to get dusk, it just seems different than the first. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't let the little ones go out. I mean, I kept them in the big runs. Until they were almost.
Anybody else have any?
So what if you want to do meat?
Meat birds, there are several different breeds of chickens that are what they call dual purpose, can be meat or eggs. Buff Orpington is one of them. I can't think off the Barred Rock, I mean, there's several others you go look, they're good for meat and egg, they're big, fat meat. Barred Rock, a Plymouth Barred Rock. I'm drawing a blank, I know there's other breeds. But if you want strictly for meat, there's several breeds of those two. I recommend a Cornish cross. There's others that are like different color birds, red or brown or, different color. When you go to slaughter them, you're gonna have trouble with the pin feathers. The color will discolor the carcass. It makes it. Go with a white one, you get a really nice, pretty clean bird.
The Cornish cross you can't breed, right?
No. You have to buy the Cornish
hatchery.
cross. You have to buy it.
It's kind of a crazy question. I'm very new, so I don't even have a chicken yet. So, could you because we live in a community where there's no way they're going to let us have a rooster. We're fighting for chickens. There's no way they're going to let us have a rooster. Could you borrow someone's rooster to bring it over to your house for an afternoon? Would that work? So, is there a heat? Do they go through heat or do chickens go through heat like a dog or?
Only when they're molting, they're not. Otherwise, they're silent. So I guarantee you bring a rooster over. And I was gonna say there's one thing, I've had several people ask me, you've never had chickens before? A very good friend of mine asked me, she says, do you have to have a rooster to get eggs? And I looked, and I said, no, chicken's gonna lay eggs whether you got a rooster or not. It's whether you want them fertile. A rooster has two purposes. One is to protect his hens. And if you'll let him out and you've got a rooster, a bird or a hawk flies by, you'll hear him sound off and let his hens know, and they'll go run and hide. That, or if he finds food, he'll call them to come eat. That three purposes, and fertilize the eggs. So you don't have to have roosters.
Could you go through the reproduction process? Like she was saying, could her friend come, or her friend's rooster come over? Like how can you go about increasing your flock? Like how do you know when they're broody, and like how do you know if their eggs are fertilized?
You wouldn't know when they're broody, because they're gonna sit, and if you go to try and mess with the eggs out behind them, they're gonna walk up and squawk at you and sometimes peck.
Do they only go broody if the eggs are fertilized?
No. I had a buck hen one time that would sit on rocks. Yeah. She would.
We have one that's
My husband joked and said that she would sit on snake band.
Well, how do you know then if they're fertilized? You know?
If you've got a rooster and you don't have way too many hens, chances are they're fertile. You're gonna have one every now and then that's they're not be fertile.
And then how long should you let them, like, when they'll lay a clutch? How do you know when the clutch is done?
It depends on what breed of chicken you got and how big it is. I would only let her sit on what she can cover. Okay. If there's some sticking out, take some away from her. She needs to be able to cover.
And then should you cancel them at 10 days or somewhere around there?
Yes, and if they're not good, if they're not fertile or something, throw them out, because that's like it's taking time long. Waiting real long.
Yeah. And then you just wait.
What eggs?
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I keep playing.
So after the 10 day, oh wait.
So when a hen starts setting, the eggs in her and under her, I take a Sharpie and go around that egg. So it's marked. I know which egg she's sitting on. If another hen goes in there and lays an egg, I know to take it away.
Okay.
So that way you know which ones are supposed to be.
Okay. Well, how do you know which ones are supposed to be? I'm just trying to figure out which one to incubate and which one to eat. Like, how do you know which one is which?
You
won't until you reach a 10-day marker, and you can cancel them, and then you know, okay, this one is, and that's when you mark it and put it back?
Yep.
Okay.
But I wouldn't eat the ones that are not fertile. I wouldn't eat them after they've been under a hen for 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you subscribe to the bullseye theory, so if you open your egg, you can see that it's fertilized?
Yes, I can.
So, so what's that, then all the other that she's laid?
It's like 3 days,
In a
right?
certain amount of
She
time?
sits a bit.
Yeah.
3 days of feed.
Yeah, 3 days it's gonna start
The
to
baby
develop.
starts to develop, the chick starts to develop.
And but usually by 7 days, you can see blood pressure.
Okay.
But if you open your eggs already and have a rooster, you'll be able to see kind of, there'll be a spot in your yolk that's wide, and you'll be able to see it's almost like a bullseye. So you'll be able to see like a dot and then another ring, sometimes a second ring.
There is a white dot when there's fertile or not, there'll be a white dot. And if it looks like a bullseye, it's fertilized.
Okay.
So then you'll know, and of course, obviously, you open it, you never put it together, but you'll know that there's other eggs are fertilized.
You mentioned you raised, quail.
Yes.
What do you raise for the quail, for the meat, or?
Right.
Okay. Oh, and
Do you let the eggs so hot?
Put the lamb
So then it's like,
what do people, they get it for the meat, or?
I mean, you have to be, and it has a temperature at night, it didn't even drop. You know, it was such a hot temperature, it was really easy. I mean, I guess if the temperature dropped at night, so it was 70, the lamp was not, in the day.
yeah.
Anything else?
So on the meat birds, what would you feed them?
There is a feed, special feed for them. Broiler starter, I believe, or something like that. It is a really high protein. Broilers are a whole different story than your raising. They are from hatched to ready to butcher in 6 to 8 weeks. They grow extremely fast. You want to start out with their feeders and waters on the ground,
Okay.
and as they grow, raise them to make them stand up, because if you don't, they will literally sit around that feeder and eat and eat and eat and eat, and they won't be able to walk. I even go in several times a day when I'm raising them, and you don't want to spook them because of the way they fast grow. They can have heart attacks and stuff. Just walk them. Just go in and walk them and make them exercise a couple of times a day to help keep their leg strength up, because they will sit there and eat themselves to death. But they are huge. My grandson had some for his 4-H show, and we took them to Mansfield to have them slaughtered for them. And when we were down there, these people kept coming up and say, "Is that a turkey?" And I'm like, "No, it's a chicken." "Are you sure? It's really big." I'm like, "No, it's a chicken." "Did you get them here? We want some." "No, we raised them." They are. If you raise them 6 to 8 weeks and feed them right, they are huge. And some of the best eating, you won't buy chicken in the store anymore if you ever raise your own.
And that's the Cornish
Cornish
cross.
cross, yeah.
And so you keep them from 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
So you keep them constant food and water, but you have to go in and walk them.
Walk them and raise the feeders and waters so that they have to stand up to eat and drink.
Okay.
Have somebody go with their body, yeah.
Okay. So you said you went to Mansfield to slaughter?
There's a place in Mansfield called Hayes Farms. It's the only place I know of around here that you can go to have poultry slaughtered. It is not a fancy place. The first time I went, I was like, but they do a real good job. It's like $2 a bird. And you take your own coolers and, your ice, take your birds down there. They're going to kill them, pluck them. They're going to take them to the cut-up floor, and you tell them how you want to cut up or if you want to cut up. They have big plastic bags available for you to put them in your cooler, go get ice them down. I would suggest when you get them home to rinse them again and then put them in clean bags or however you're going to bag them, and put them on ice or in refrigeration for 24 hours before you freeze them or do anything else. That lets the muscles, the rigor mortis, kind of fade away, so you're not going to have a tough chicken.
So rinse them, then bag them.
Rinse them and bag them,
Fridge for 24 hours.
24 hours, and then you can either freeze them or cook them, and they are delicious.
I have another one, so, is there another chicken for down butcher, for making pillows and stuff?
What's the purpose,
Or
babe?
doesn't
I
matter?
know. One of the fluffier breeds, I'm gonna say, like a cochin. Or even I go back to the Orpington, they colored feathers. I don't know what you didn't care what color the down was. That's one thing I've never,
Never messed with.
no, never. During molting season, I get tired of raking feathers and they go in the trash.
Well, my grandmother would make them, she had chickens, she'd get out of down pillow, but it's all dead, I need another pillow.
Oh. I like down pillows too. They're expensive. Maybe I need to save some feathers. At least this year, last year my buff Orpingtons were in the pen where my guineas are now, and it's completely enclosed with hardwood cloth. So when the guineas started molting, the feathers didn't go all over the yard. They were in the coop. I just rake them up, bag them up. Now I have had people come and want feathers, especially guinea feathers, because of different colors and patterns, and you can do them for artwork and crafts projects.
Do you eat the guineas?
Huh?
Do you eat guineas, or?
You can eat guineas. Guineas are what the old timers used to call the original yard bird. You can eat guineas and you can eat guinea eggs. I've never eaten a guinea, and I've never eaten a guinea egg. I've always hatched them all. Their egg is quite a bit different than a chicken. It is thick and hard. You can't just tap it. You have to whack it to get it to crack. I don't know how the little kids ever manage to get out of them, but
So the only purpose really is to keep the bugs down?
bugs, any kind of bugs, fleas, ticks, crickets, grasshoppers, any kind of bug. Little lizards, small snakes. And during the summer, I don't feed mine. They feed themselves.
Keep guineas don't eat your garden, do they?
Do I now?
Guineas don't eat your garden, but chickens will?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes, guineas most of the time will not bother your garden. They'll go pick the bugs off the plants, but chickens are gonna go peck your tomatoes and your squash and everything else.
So I'm doing the hugger, so. Well, thank y'all so much for coming out. I'm sure some of y'all probably still have some questions for Tina. Tina, thank you so much for
You're
kicking
welcome.
our
Some of our business cards, y'all want to take one.